springtime. Happy Friday. Let's see if anyone is here. Tuning in from Troy, New York. So I did a live on Tuesday. Someone popped on. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Tia. Hey, Tia. Just let me know if you can hear me, if you don't mind putting something in the chat. And so I know that the connection is solid and clear. There's some kind of like church bells in the background. Let's see. Tia, will you write something? Voiko sä kirjoittaa jonkun pikkujutun sinne boksiin, jos sä kuulet mua? Moi, ihanaa, yay! All right, so yes. So we did a live on Tuesday, or I came live on Tuesday, about the power of pausing. And for some of you who have watched it, maybe you have implemented these little pauses to your days. And I am wondering how it has been going. And if you want to report anything, let me know. Someone else is here, yay! So for myself, I wanted to share with you, it's been really profound taking these little pauses. Just kind of like allowing myself to take these micro pauses where I check in to see again with the breath, how the breath is going and how I'm feeling. And since I've been doing that, moi Mirella, hi Mirella. And since I've been doing that, a couple of things have happened for me. One is that I have time to kind of reflect on what it is that my intention is with the thing that I'm doing. And do I want to continue that, or do I want to shift gears? So that little micro pause for me has given me that time to actually it's literally just a minute, but it aligns me again into that place of being able to kind of observe, not have an opinion about it, and then decide, do I want to continue in this direction? Moi Satu. Do I want to continue in this direction, or do I want to shift gears, right? So even before coming on live, I had a little micro pause to think, okay, what is my intention for this live? You know, what is it? And I think when we're able to take these little pauses and become more and more clear with our intentions throughout the day, life becomes again a little bit more powerful, because we start to create the life that we want to create instead of being sort of a victim of the circumstances, if that makes sense. So that was the one thing that has happened for me now since I've been implementing these little micro pauses that I was challenging some of you to join me since Tuesday to do. So maybe up to 3 times a day or even more, taking these micro pauses. And if you haven't watched that video, you could watch it. It was the one before. I really believe that it holds even kind of the codes to really shift and change your life. Just these little micro pauses. Now, the other thing that I noticed is that some feelings started to surface for me that were a little uncomfortable. So it's interesting, when we pause, we allow ourselves to feel things that have perhaps been suppressed. For me, it had to do with, there was like a little bird that went right up there. So feelings that have been suppressed, and then allowing those feelings to surface. And I think this is why some of us avoid pausing, because we don't want to feel those feelings. Now, it's good to feel them, but then also, like my teacher, June Miller, I just had a quick call with her an hour ago or so, and she reminded me, just don't get stuck with it. So for me, it had to do with my mom's passing. She passed June 10th last year. So it's almost a year, a Mother's Day coming up. It really brought up a lot for me to the surface. And it was kind of like, first I didn't even recognize, like, what's happening? Because I've been feeling really good lately. But as I was pausing, this lingering, uncomfortable feeling was coming to the surface. And yes, it's important to feel it, but also not to get stuck in these loops of like our unprocessed feelings, right? So there's something to be felt, to be dealt with, but then we do want to let it go, which is we're transitioning now very smoothly into the topic of today, which is letting go. It was someone suggested this topic, letting go, and why is it so hard? Yeah. So we don't want to get stuck in those loop patterns. So if you feel inclined to share with me, if you've done this practice of pausing, that what came up for you, and you could even write it later if you don't want to share it now. But I find that it's so healing for us to come together as community, even if you're not here live, even if you're watching this later or you decide to comment later, but to bring these topics into the forefront and have these discussions in the community, you know, allow our selves to even be vulnerable in our community, you know, to be held by others, to be seen by others, to be heard by others. Okay. So that's about the pausing, which I am a big fan of, and I'm going to continue this, and I want to kind of check in next week again. So if you feel inclined to continue with these 3 micro pauses per day in the morning, somewhere in the middle of the day, you can add more of them too. And in the evening, we start to make it a permanent practice as we start to do that. Okay. So transitioning into letting go, and why is it so hard to let go? So there is this infinite part of us. There's this part of us that is the individual aspect of spirit, which we call in yoga Jiva Atman. It resides right here in the heart chakra. And this part of us is wise and is connected to everything and knows that nothing of value can ever be lost. So this part of us knows this higher truth and is very secure in this knowledge. But the human part of us is the part of us that gets attached to people, to things, to situations, and suffers greatly when we're presented with letting go or having to let go. Where even like some things are ripped out of our life. Either it's a person, like my mother passing, or a situation, relationship that leaves or gets kind of almost like torn away from your life, and there can be great suffering. And it's the attachment that creates the suffering, right? So the greater the attachment, the bigger the attachment, the greater the suffering whenever we're experiencing the letting go. And the attachment can be to negative things as well. So we all have this programming that has been sort of implemented since we were young, which many of us are now doing the reprogramming, kind of releasing the old programming and implementing new ways and new coding into our system, if you will. And the attachment can be very strong to this old programming, right? And so the attachment not only is to the positive things like my mother, or, you know, like, or maybe you don't have a positive relationship with your mother, you still have an attachment there, right? So it can be to negative things. For instance, one of my ex-boyfriends, nothing wrong with him in essence, but we weren't on the same kind of, we just didn't fit, right? And when our relationship was coming to an end, we were separated, we were back together, separated, back together. We were doing that very dysfunctional dance of back and forth, and it created a lot of suffering in me. And every time I would go back, one of my teachers at that time would ask, so what is it? He gives you something is there that's bringing you back. And I said, honestly, there is nothing positive coming out of this. You know, I was attached to the negative situation, and I kept going back to that negative situation. Again, I just want to highlight, it was nothing wrong with him in essence. It was just us not fitting together. It was not the right relationship anymore for me or for him. But there was huge attachment from both of our sides to kind of cling on to the old patterning, if that makes sense. So our attachments are exactly what makes letting go painful. So in yoga, one of the yamas is called aparigraha, which is the last yama, the fifth yama, and it means non-attachment or non-greed. And that's more in the physical, like not attaching to things. But then there's this beautiful concept in yoga called Abhyasa Vairagya. Abhyasa Vairagya. And Abhyasa means practice, and Vairagya means non-attachment. So it's more of like even how we approach our physical practice or really life or work or our project. It's with this care, with this like showing up and doing everything as best as we can, but then also non-attaching and letting go. So it's that idea, it's that beautiful idea of showing up wholeheartedly and caring so much, but at the same time being able to let it all go as well. I know that's a really big concept, and that takes kind of a little bit of digesting, I think, for some of us, but it is a very beautiful concept. And if we start to arrive into situations in life with this way, we show up wholeheartedly and we care so much, and we put our best into all of our projects, our parenting, our relationships, but then we also allow ourselves to let it go, so to not attach to it. And this is a big practice. This is a big practice that I believe we get to do really for the rest of our lives, because we can be sort of good at in one area of our life in certain situations with this concept, but then with certain areas we're like, this is where my clinging happens, right? This is where that holding on happens very strongly. I don't know if you guys are relating to this. Let me know if that makes sense. So Abhyasa Vairagya, this beautiful concept, can be also labeled as, it's almost like sometimes it's the symbol is like a what do you call it? The thing where you like measure two sides, like the Libra sign, which I am in horoscope. You know, the balance scale. So that on one side it's never give up, and on the other side always let go. So these two opposites, never give up, so having this resilience to always show up, even to meditation, like we practice coming to the center line, we do the whole physical practice to be able to sit with yourself, with your spine tall, and then you always let go. Never give up, always let go. So simultaneously, how we show up for meditation is not completely with this rigid, this kind of energy, right? It's the two at the same time. Until we master that, both of them, we're not able to go to that place of peace, which is the goal of yoga, is to be in that place where our thoughts become clear or stilled. So we have the chitta, our consciousness, steady. Yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. So yoga is the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind, to be able to settle the mind, so that, like right now, the river actually looks very settled. So it changes direction 4 times a day. It's kind of that stillness right between. And that's when we can see clearly, viveka. So viveka is the being able to see things and situations for what they are, right? So then we're in touch with that infinite part of us, and we want to relate to life from this place of higher truth, from this place of higher truth, not from the attachment place. So when mind is steady, plus free, the river of life can flow. I don't know. This is really almost like a channeling that's been coming through for this week, is that we're tuning into this sense of a river of life flowing through us. We allow the things, situations, and people that are coming our way to come our way. And then the things, people, situations that are leaving, we're allowing those things to flow out of our life with full trust and knowing that things that are meant to come your way will come your way. And life is in a constant flow like this. And when we allow the flow to happen, we're not suffering, right? It's when we all of a sudden go like, oh, no, we can't do this, is it when we start to actually suffer, and there's the lack of that flow happening. If that makes sense. Let me know, guys, how you're receiving this. Is this making sense at all? Let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna come into a little pause now, a little moment of connection with this river of life flow. So allow yourself to come into a comfortable seat. I'm seated on a chair, but I am on in a comfortable cross-legged seat. See what kind of feels right for you. If you're on a chair, you could sit on a chair. Good. And bring the palms together and just kind of warming up, kind of like you're warming up your hands. Just rub the hands together and feel and sense and hear the sound that is created between your hands. Like the skin against skin, and the friction and the heat and the energy that you're creating between your hands. And then bring the palms over your eyes, cupping the hands over the eyes. Let your head relax into the hands for a moment. Sending this healing energy that is beaming from the palms of your hands into your eyes, into your brain, into the spinal cord, into the nervous system, into your organs, and restoring balance in your system immediately. This beautiful flow of energy entering your system, of healing white light, activating the areas that have been stuck, and then calming and centering and healing the areas that have been inflamed or overactive. Restoring balance. Good. And then from here, bring the palms together to the heart center and separate the other fingers, keeping your pinkies and thumbs together, lotus mudra. And we're gonna do the moving lotus mudra. So this is how it goes. The fingers come in, and then you go down, and you can let the palms come down. And then let's say the inhale brings the hands, backs of the hands together, and opening and to the third eye. And continue like this. So maybe it's the exhale that moves your lotus back into the mud, deep into the mud, Mother Earth. And then bringing the lotus through the water all the way up to the surface of the water, opening. Continue on your own, and as Mother's Day is approaching, you can develop this reverence to Mother Earth, and as the lotus is kind of deep in the mud where the seed begins to grow, and And it has to kind of push its way through the mud and the water until it's exposed, and the beautiful flower lotus opening right at the surface of the water. And once you've done a few of these and you feel like that's enough, bring the lotus to the heart center. Visualize this white lotus flower blooming, blossoming, opening at the level of the heart, representing you in full connection and embodying this infinite part of you in your physical body as well. So the way of, in the path of enlightenment or awakening, is not that we leave our body, but we become more anchored into our physical body, illuminating all parts of us, every cell of our being. Let your tongue relax to the bottom of the mouth. Let the roof of the mouth soften up towards the crown of the head. And in this moment right now, feel yourself connected to everything that there is. There is no separation between you and everything that there is. And if you'd like to relax your hands down, you can, or keep the hands in Lotus Mudra. We will do a little bit of a light language channeling, allowing yourself to receive the codes. Reminding yourself that your uniqueness is the gift that you're meant to give in this world. And that sometimes we start to come into this pattern of bashing ourselves, or into patterns of self-sabotage, thinking that our uniqueness is the issue, but our uniqueness is our gift. So it's a shift of perspective. How are you looking at yourself? How do you see yourself? Akatatata. Aka nanaya ma tatatata yamakotoho hananaya. So letting everything else fall away, the ideas of who you thought you should be, so that the wholeness of you can emerge. So light language is coding. You can even perhaps just sense that the sounds are these light codes that are bringing you, restoring your coding and bringing you back into your wholeness. Atatata. Back to remembrance of who you are. Back to remembering who you were always meant to be. So it's a sense of uncovering, like peeling back the layers of an onion. It's not that you're having to become something that you are not. But since in this world we are very unique, none of us we cannot have one example of who we're trying to imitate, because no one else is you. So we have to take examples here and there, but you have to allow yourself to become you. And there's not going to be an exact example of that. You can find inspiration from here and there, but there is no exact example of that. Good. And then wherever you are, bring the palms together to the heart center, bow your head towards your heart, and bring your right fist to the lower belly, left hand over, tilting forward with your spine. And taking a moment here to set the intention for you to be you more fully and completely for the rest of your Friday, for the weekend, for the next week, for the rest of your life. Come back to center, flutter the eyes open. Good. Thank you so much, everyone. Stia says, makes sense. Thank you for commenting. Yeah. And even if you're watching this later, feel free to comment. I always come back here. It's so lovely to talk about these things. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a beautiful weekend. Sending love and happy Mother's Day. Oh, I want to send happy Mother's Day to my mom, as she's all around. And I was reminded of that she's not sad, you know, that the human part of me, of course, is moving through some feelings of sadness, but she, first of all, wouldn't want me to feel sad. And so I want to celebrate her this weekend, and I want to remember her and think of her. Actually, I'm going to show you guys a little angel thingy that was her in her purse. Isn't that cute? She got this from New York, Namaste bookstore. So I have this angel, and then I have her perfume and all these little things, and I feel like I just want to celebrate her, you know, and talk about her. So maybe next live I might even do a little story time about my mom, my sweet mom. She was very powerful lady, and now she's just flying all around. All right, guys, thank you so much. Sending love. Oh, we need to do our group hug. If you're up for it, open the arms really wide. And then give yourself a big loving hug and allow yourself to both receive and give at the same time. So coming together as a community, supporting one another. Sometimes we're in need, sometimes we're ready to give. Every day is a little different. And then opening the arms. Today I was ready to receive, and I got a call from my teacher, June, and got to bask in her presence for like 10-15 minutes and give yourself a hug again, the other arm on top. And my goodness, it felt so good, like just to, you know, like receive your teacher's attention. It feels really healing. It's like your whole being gets illuminated with light, with understanding. And a release. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Until next time.